Thank you, Mr. President. Today I rise to adjourn in the memory of Terry Sandoval, who lived in my district in Hayward, but is known throughout the Bay Area as a champion of working people. Terry leaves a message for all of us to remember. She was at home taking a shower and slipped and fell and hit her head. She didn't go to doctors because she was a tough person. If you knew Terry, she says, "I'm okay. I'm going to go forward and get my life's work done." And she passed away. So I prayed that everybody. My dad fell afterwards, and we rushed him to the hospital. He's 94. But the lesson is that we have to take these head injuries seriously. She worked as an organizer for numerous local campaigns for candidates and issues throughout the East Bay. She attended the California College of the Arts and worked as an operating engineer when it wasn't cool for a woman to be an operating engineer, but one of the few women who at the time who were running that big equipment on construction sites. She went on to become an organizer with SEIU, ULTCW, and the SEIU United Healthcare Workers. And previously, she worked as the political director for the Alameda County Labor Council. At the time of her passing, she was serving as the chair of the Alameda County Democratic Party and was active for many years with the Alameda County chapter of the National Women's Political Caucus. As you can see, she had her fingers everywhere. But her main passion was to empower and advocate for low-wage workers. She often brought many of us on the floor to rallies at Kaiser organizational meetings and employees on the front line of our healthcare system, and advocated for legislation that would raise the floor for labor standards for those low-wage workers in our state. She would be remembered as a passionate fighter, yes, but also as a warm and loving friend to many of us. I ask members that we adjourn in the memory of Terry Sandoval.
Mr. President, members, I also ask that we adjourn in memory of Terry Sandoval. Before she was Mr. Wajkowski's constituent, she was mine, but more than that. Terry Sandoval, as my colleague from Fremont mentioned, was very, very active in the Democratic Party as a labor organizer in the National Women's Political Caucus and so much more, but she also was the campaign manager for my 2008 Assembly campaign. She was a beloved mother, a caregiver, a friend, a fierce advocate for the rights of women, people of color, and workers. And when she moved to the East Bay in the 90s, she burst into the political scene. She showed up one day at a board meeting of the Northern Alameda County chapter of NWPC, and she started to organize the protections of our clinics because there were anti-abortion protesters at them, and the people who were needing to get care at the clinics were intimidated. So she organized people to show up, and we would have to show up regularly. We signed up for our hours for the clinic watch. She eagerly recruited and campaigned for pro-choice women. She was the first Latina board member at NWPC, and as my colleague from Fremont mentioned, she was in the operating engineers, and she was one of the very few female members of the operating engineers. And she took pride in driving an enormous earth-moving machine to build the then new SFO terminal. When her beloved son Joseph arrived in 1999, she carried him to campaign meetings and events in the baby carrier until he outgrew it. He volunteered on my campaign. She was so proud of the man and the musician that he's now become. And everybody in Alameda County who knew Terry also knew all about Joseph and the various instruments he played and his successes now. She was a devoted caregiver to her dear mother, who spent many years in the fog of dementia. She was a loyal friend to many, a skilled political advisor, a fearless and unwavering advocate for women, for children, for working families, and she left this world a better and more equitable place. Terry will be missed and is missed immensely, and I ask that we adjourn in her memory and carry on the fight.